Pulisic dentro, Rafa. Gol! Abraham! Gol! È l'azione più bella del mondo! È l'azione più bella!
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher, joined once again by Anthony Torgrud.
I'm here. Madison was here, and then he left here. Today's his birthday, and he had a meeting that he forgot started at the exact moment that we started recording. So he was in the studio, we were chatting, and then his reminder went off, and he said, "Oh, I gotta go." So he's out, but you know, wish him a happy birthday. He's turning 43 or something like that. I don't know.
43.
He's not. I don't know how old he is, but he's not 40.
He's still 21 at heart and in mind. Yeah, his Tuesday birthday is not great, is it? I'm not going to lie, that might be. Yeah, Tuesday, mate. Yeah, you're going to have to get used to that when you're over in a week.
Yeah. I'll see you soon. When is my birthday this year? Oh, fuck. It's also a Tuesday. That's rough.
I wish I hadn't said that.
Yeah.
Make you feel bad now. What am I on? I'm on a Thursday. I'll take that.
That's not bad, yeah.
Yeah. I think a Thursday or Friday is good because you want multiple celebrations, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking you want like maybe on a Thursday, could go out for a meal or whatever, but then the weekend's like party time. So I'll take a Thursday. Monday obviously being the worst, I think. Anyway, this is not the usual action-packed episode, shall we say. We got one game to talk about. It's a nice welcome release because we don't have to rush through it. We can talk through what we want to talk through. And
game still wasn't good. Don't get me wrong, but you know, hey, it's only one of them. So
yeah, it was a W, which we are of course going to talk about, but we don't have a game to preview. The international break is here, the first one of 2025. Going to see a bit of Tuchel ball for the first time on Friday, and USA have got CONCACAF semi-final.
I think we got it's either Nations League or
something like that.
Yeah, we play Panama on Thursday in 2 days. It is Nations League semi-final, so we beat them, then we play the winner of Canada v Mexico.
The old firm.
That's
do like a
just make this sound bigger. Yeah, I mean it's going to be a big game for whichever one of those teams wins. We don't care, honestly. It's Nations League, but it'll be a big one just with all the geopolitical stuff going on, you know, on the continents right now.
I've not read anything about that.
Yeah, it's pretty low key. Not many people have heard about it, but there's been some stuff going on. So Canada will be definitely up for it. I'm rooting for Mexico. I'd like to see Jimenez v Pulisic. I think that would just be fun.
Yes, that would actually be good. I'd like to see that. And of course, Musa, who is the most in form out of the three at the moment.
Yep.
Yes. I can't remember. Jimenez has just done an interview with, I think it's like Azteca TV or something. And basically they put it to him like, how does it feel knowing that you're going to lose your starting spot to Raul Jimenez? And of course, he gave it like the competition is good thing, but I never thought about the fact that Raul Jimenez is now back banging the goals in for Fulham. So yeah, he might not even start if he does get to the final.
Yeah, he won't. He hasn't been for a while. Because he was in the Netherlands, they've just been like, well, one of them's in the Premier League. You know, so he's just been picking up.
Isn't their coach one of those guys as well who like prefers the players that play in Mexico?
Yeah. I think Raul Jimenez was in Mexico as well, right? Before he went to Fulham?
Yeah, almost certainly, yeah. And then Wolves, he was at Wolves,
right? One of those things. Oh, maybe that's what it is, because I in my head, I'm picturing a big cat, but if it was Wolves, maybe that's not a cat, but, you know, animal, furry guy. Wolf's a dog.
No. Yeah, it is, yeah.
Or a beast, as we like to say.
It's
just like my big beast down here, you know. Definitely a beast.
Good guard dog.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get into some actual football, Substack founding members, I've got to say thank you to, as always, for the support. I'm going to read the list in reverse in order, just to keep it fresh. Medi K, Ken, Roberto Racinos, Marco Villela, Tarek, JT Physio, Mike Schulz, Heavenly 13, Derek Favretto, Merlin Finker, Nasser, Carlo Fassi, Rajat, Raul Escobar, Luke Villano, Mats, MJ, Kemin, Joey Gorla, Moritz Paulman, Tito Mack, and Des Windsor McGlynn. Thank you for the support that's showing us over on the Substack. We're going from strength to strength over there. I wanted to plug Isaac's bonus article first here, titled "The Motta President Tells Milan What to Do." I won't spoil it, but he goes in detail about why it's important that decisions are made regarding the near and hopefully distant future of the club now, because otherwise you risk missing out on big targets, and then you end up having to settle for second or third best, and also why it's Cardinale's last chance to turn the situation around before he completely loses everyone, if he hasn't done already, based on the protests and stuff. The latest pub chat video that Lorenzo and Stefano did was called Goats and Shirt Numbers, and it's all about favourite Milan players of all time, as well as some of their favourite shirt numbers at the club, and the players, both good and bad, that have worn those numbers. That was an interesting watch/listen, because I feel like everybody's got their preference when it comes to a particular shirt, without remembering some of the players that have gone on to disgrace it. The bonus podcast that we did on Friday, me, you, and Maddie, was rebuilding Ital Milan. We spoke about if there is a need for an Italian sporting director and then an Italian coach, and what can be done with the squad to help with the homegrown quota, if it's best to kind of go back to basics with the better the devil you know thing, and get people who know the league. We did 46 minutes on that. And there was a newsletter too, which spoke about the latest on San Siro. Isaac's doing a bigger bonus article on the San Siro thing, which is coming out soon. And also Teo meeting up with Maldini and what that might mean. And in that, there is a bulletin of the main news stories from throughout the week. Como away in January, we go a goal down. We're playing like shit. Couple of second half goals, and we get a turnaround. That was a scare.
That story before.
That was a scare, shall we say? Let's make sure not to do the same thing in this game. Let's go into the break in the right way with a nice, convincing, commanding performance against a Como team that, although they've been better in 2025, they're still not 100% out of the relegation race. They're in the bottom half of the table. Again, we've said it in various previews. If we can't win these games, then we don't have a chance in these direct clashes that are coming up against, your Napoli, Bologna, Fiorentina, etc. Oh boy, another tough watch. I think it would be fair to say. I think if you're thinking chronologically here, we have spoken time and time again about how important it is that the first chance, the first major incident of games goes our way. It didn't, and we were left to pay the price. Let's start with the Yunus Musa thing.
How many games in a row have we had the first chance, first attack within the opening 4 or 5 minutes, and it either be called offside or just be a crazy miss? It's becoming a trend, and it's frustrating, to put it lightly.
Mm-hmm.
This one was, ridiculous, right? You round the keeper, you got a wide open net, you have 2 other players running in that you could just cross the ball to, and it's like he couldn't decide between shooting at the wide open net or making the pass, and somehow positioned it in between the two, and it just went out for a goal kick.
He got stuck between the two, didn't he? He did the hard part well, and I almost want to say that this few seconds was like a perfect synopsis of what Musa is all about. Like the bit where he gets himself into the position is actually brilliant. It's good technique. He shows a good burst, and then he gets around the keeper, which was the right thing to do because the angle wasn't on before that. The cutback wasn't on. And then he's left with a situation where, there's a defender between him and goal. So you can either hit it hard and on target, and it's probably got a good chance going in because the defender decided to slide. So if you elevate it a bit, it's going in. Or you make sure that the cutback connects with either Jimenez or Reijnders at the far post. And he did neither. The ball just whistled across goal. And it did feel like that set the tone for his evening and the team's evening a little bit. Like the fans, I won't say they jeered that particular thing, but there was certainly disbelief. And then the doubt starts to creep in about, like, this isn't going to be another one of them games, is it? And
and it was a good bit of play leading up to that goal as well. A lot of ping pong, a lot of tiki-taka. It was like Teo to, I think, Bondo, back to Teo to Jimenez, back to Teo to Musa. I don't know. It was like going to a bunch of different people.
It was nice.
And it was really good build-up. You're going, okay, we're getting a little flow. This is what happens when you have a week of training, some rest in between games. Like, all right, this is going to be nice. And then he missed, and we all kind of laughed like that was a really easy chance. Never should miss that. But we're thinking, like, if this is how we're playing, if this is how we're looking refreshed, maybe this is the turnaround that we've been waiting for. It wasn't. I don't want to say shortly thereafter because it wasn't really shortly. It was like a half hour later. They then scored their goal. Oh, and Bondo got a yellow card that was kind of Musa's fault as well. There was a bad bit of play from Musa where he got like nutmegged, and then I don't know. He went for the ball, he missed it, got nutmegged, whatever, and then I can't remember exactly how it went down, but basically Bondo's only option to stop this was to grab the dude by the shirt and pull him down.
Yeah,
and had Musa not missed those couple challenges that he put in, you wouldn't have gotten a yellow card. And oh wow, yeah, there you go. For those who aren't watching, I'll just put up a photo, a still shot of this shot. You see Musa completely on the other side, on the goal side of the keeper, just outside the penalty, or not the penalty box, but you know what I mean, the 6-yard box. Thank you.
Yes.
Taking the shot, and you have Reijnders, you have Jimenez, and you have Teo just further outside the box. It could be
just
options.
In case the ball beats everyone.
Seeing this now with that number 80 for Como, I don't know who that is, but his position, I do think the shot is the. Oh, is that Acuna? That's who scores.
I think he's number 80. Yeah.
Ironic that Musa's already. Where he's at, maybe the pass to Reijnders or Jimenez would be a lot more difficult to make. So, I get why he took the shot on, and then also there's another guy who is kind of down, trying to get like a goal line clearance. So maybe that kind of weighs into the decision making of how he took the shot and why he tried to go far post. But I don't know. I mean, watching it live, I don't know if he had the time to analyze all that so much as just put it up.
His brain doesn't seem to work particularly quickly. I think that wouldn't be too remiss to say. Cacaret is number 80. Sorry, not Acuna. Acuna's 33. But yeah, I think this still, while it rightly looks like a massive opportunity still, you can see that he's definitely gone shot. You can have no mystery about what he's intending to do there. He's put his foot through it absolutely, which is kind of wild, therefore, that he totally missed the target from there. You can see by the power he's put into it in this particular still, it's definitely a shot. The cutback does look more difficult because of Cacaret recovering there to kind of cut off the passing lanes, but there simply has to be, a route to get the ball to one of the two there.
I think if Cacaret or the guy who's lying down in front of goal blocks it, no one's mad because it's like, okay, that was a shot on target. They just blocked it, great. But because it just missed everyone, you're like, what? You couldn't get that on target? You're 7 yards out with no goalkeeper. What do you mean you missed the target?
That was bad. And then, of course, at the other end, Como then grew into the game, as so often happens. They get this big let off, and they're like, "Whoa, right, here we go." And I knew Como were going to come and play football. I said play good football. Said in the preview that I didn't see us keeping a clean sheet. I think we might have both picked us to win 2-1 actually, or I might have said 3-1.
So. I know Isaac did too. So
I knew that they weren't going to come. Well, yeah, big bold call from Muller there. I knew they weren't going to come and sit back and play a low block like some of the teams that, because it's not Fabregas's way. Basically, everything that Fabregas does with Como here is sort of him putting himself in the shop window a bit. Like, look how good my team plays. So I knew that they were gonna try and keep possession. I'm surprised that we gave it to them in pretty much every stat in terms of territory, in terms of actual ball possession, passes and things like that. They dominate us. And I don't know if that was a deliberate ploy from Conceicao to say, they can have all the fancy possession numbers and stuff, but we're going to hit them where it hurts. But it certainly didn't materialize that way in the first half. And I would say that they almost dominated between then and the break. And it was a lovely goal for them to open the scoring. Good bit of interplay between Asanjiao and Nico Paz. Both of them were outstanding. They're going to get a big move this summer, I think, especially Nico Paz. Laid the ball off to Acuna. Yeah.
No, I was just going to talk about Nico Paz. I think Madrid have the buyback, and then they're thinking about selling him on to Inter, which would be devastating because It's perfect business.
I don't really see where he fits there, though, if they keep going with Inzaghi in a 3-5-2. I mean, he doesn't strike me as a second striker, or he's very much an attacking midfielder.
Yeah, but I think he would come on probably. He would be a super sub for me.
Yeah.
At least he'd probably come on off the bench for like a Thuram or an Arnautovic.
Fabregas did interestingly say after the game that he wants to mould him into a bit of an 8 between now and the end of the season. So I wonder if he could be like Mkhitaryan's long-term replacement. In which case, that's frightening. So yeah, he was really good. Lovely layoff. And D'Acunha, we sort of had a little look at Maignan for this in the chat after the goal went in. Sort of wondering how a side-footed shot can go in low there. Didn't exactly go in off the post, but it was a well-placed strike. I think the conclusion that we came to is that he was shifting back into the middle of the goal, and he hit it at the very moment when his momentum was shifting, and therefore it was hard for him to get back down to his near post side. But it all feeds into not even a narrative anymore. It's just the trend of him letting in goals at his near post and being beaten by shots that don't have the power to beat most goalkeepers.
Yeah, I know he was kind of wrong-footed. You can see it in the replay. He's like bouncing left, and then the shot goes right, or vice versa, depending on how you're looking at it, whatever. But the shots from outside the box, I think there was an argument that Cutrone was blocking his vision a little bit, but he was onside, so it didn't matter regardless.
Right.
In fact, that's really good placement for a striker in that situation. And I can't remember the build-up to the goal, but I feel like there was a bad mistake or giveaway on the other end from us that led to this. And then, like Reijnders made a late challenge that missed, and then there was a few others. Like everyone just kept going in a split second after the player was there, and they just kept building up perfectly. And I don't know. I remember being very frustrated at this point, but it could be because we conceded a goal. But I felt like it was because of build-up. I just genuinely can't remember.
There's almost always a mistake that we make, which then results in coughing them. And this is the thing that, like, I think it's correct to criticize how bad we are in transition because we still haven't fixed that. Even ever since the Scudetto season, really, we've conceded way too many goals on the counter attack. But one thing I will say is that we never ever have any real control when we're in possession, and what that means is that so we can win the ball back. And we can go galloping down the other end and try to be direct and try to score within 10 seconds of winning the ball back. But what that means is that when we inevitably then cough the ball up in the opposition half, all the players are running forward, and it turns into a basketball game, and it's generally one that we don't win, especially against teams that are designed to soak up pressure and pick the right moment. We give them so many of these moments to exploit, and it's something that definitely needs fixing. I think it certainly is a coaching thing. We need to learn to it's been spoken about so much, the need for balance, but just learning timings and when to make those moves. But we are poor at sustaining pressure and sustaining possession in the opposing half. We cough the ball up too much, and it leads to these kind of opportunities. It was a well taken goal, don't get me wrong. And Como had other chances. Maignan had made a save from Paz just before that. There was one where a cross comes in from Kakare and Kempf brings it down and sort of stabs it with the end of his foot, and it just a bit too weak to beat Maignan, who'd come off his line well to stop that. Kempf centre back. If that falls to anybody else, we're probably talking about being 2-0 down going into the break. And yeah, it was a go on. Sorry.
No, you're good. So I pulled the goal up here, and I'm playing it back live here as I talk, and I have it in 0.5 speed so I can see it all. So number 80,
Kakare, yeah.
Yeah, him. He has the ball on the edge of the box. Bondo goes in for a challenge, barely misses. They get the pass off. Musa steps in, gets nutmegged. Reijnders steps in, barely misses. Another pass, Gabia barely misses. What's his name? D'Acunha gets the ball to shoot here. Chow slides in, barely misses the shot, and then Mike Maignan just lets in another near post goal. It's like 6 little movements there where each one of our players was, it was like a game of FIFA where, you're doing everything right, but somehow if it's like the network connection or something, you're just a second behind on every single challenge. And that's wildly frustrating to see. But it happens like that sometimes, I guess.
It happens, and I think there's only certain teams that would be able to take advantage of that, and we're going to face some of them in the remaining games. Like Inter, for example, generally punish every error that you give them. I think it has been quite simple for teams to play against us in recent weeks, and in fact, maybe all season, in the sense that, and I think I said this in the chat at the time, you actually don't have to set up to win the game against Milan. You just have to let them lose it. And it feels like that, they will, if you just play a solid, competent game of football, regardless of what level you're at. Look at Lecce, hadn't scored since January, and we give them 2 goals in the first, whatever it was, 55 minutes. If you just play a normal game, we'll give you something. You don't have to do anything that spectacular. And don't get me wrong, this goal that we let in wasn't as bad as some of the others, but some of the chances that we then gave up that weren't taken, Como could have had more, and we could have been in a much worse situation. And it was another 45 minutes under Conceicao that we completely fucking punted into the sea. I can't remember us having a single good first half against any team under Conceicao, really.
I think we had one, but we didn't score a goal, and then we ended up losing the second half or something along those lines. Like it was just like couldn't do anything right, sort of deal.
Certainly way more bad than good.
Yeah.
And yeah, a constant theme as well is that he got the starting lineup wrong in his eyes, and then has to make 2 substitutions at half time. Teo came off, as it turns out, because he felt some kind of discomfort. And so Alex Jimenez came on at left back. Then Bondo, who'd been booked, came off for Yusuf Fofana. So
5 minutes later, right?
Yeah.
Or was that at halftime as well?
That was half time. Both subs were half time. That's what I've got here. Yeah.
Because we made another sub 5 minutes later, and my brain just hates it when we use 2 sub windows within a few minutes of each other. It blows my mind.
52 minutes of João Felix came on for Yunus Musa, who was booed off, of course.
Well, and that was the shocking part, that it was Bondo who came off. I mean, obviously he was booked, so I get it. But everyone was like, okay, Musa's the guy that's got to come off. Because I think he had a historically bad half for us, at least,
Yeah, he did.
In terms of his Milan performances, I thought this was one of Musa's worst.
Remember our theory? He wasn't on a booking, and then he got one early in the second half, so he misses the Napoli game, and then Conceicao says, right, that's you off, mate. Thank you for that. Went exactly as planned. Off you come.
Yeah. And then shortly after the halftime sub, before the Musa sub, in that 5 minutes of time, we did let in a second goal. It was rightly ruled offside, but there was shout for a penalty on the opposite end before it that the commentators on mine, I didn't think it was a penalty when I watched it live, and the highlights are not showing that, so they're only showing the offside part. All good. But as it went in, the commentator said, I think we might go from a situation where this is 2-0 Como to 1-1 all after this VAR review. And I thought, oh, was there a penalty that I missed here? And it ended up just being offside. They didn't look for a penalty.
Yes.
And I'm not sure where the order falls. So if it is a penalty-worthy challenge, which again, I don't know what the challenge was. They didn't replay it. Does that override an offside on the opposite end because it happened first? Or does it still only go to, was the goal offside?
So I think what they did was they checked the offside first, because they know that if they know they can disallow the goal if the offside is confirmed. So they did that, and then I think that meant they'd avoided having to make a decision on the penalty.
Yeah,
it felt a bit deliberate and designed. But one thing I will say is, and I also haven't seen a replay. I'm just looking through Twitter because I'm sure I saw a still of it somewhere. I didn't think it was a penalty/foul at the time. I thought it was one of those where he gets the ball and then just cleans the man out after. And maybe I'm a bit old-fashioned, but I think that should be fine. If anything, that's a good firm challenge, as long as you get.
If you get the ball first, I have no problem.
Yeah, and also my memory of it is that it was right on the edge of the box. So maybe it was just outside, or maybe it was right on the line. I don't know. But as soon as the offside was given, there were no questions asked, really. And it was Jimenez stayed down in a heap, on the edge of the box, So he clearly thought that there was something to it. But if we'd gone from that to being 2-0 down, then I don't know what would have happened, because the fans were already really on edge. It got pretty toxic.
Yeah.
It must be hard to play in those kind of circumstances. And
again, they did the 15-minute protest, correct?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and then came in, and Reijnders said something about that after the game. Like he said something like, "I want the fans to know that it does affect us." We hear them when they come in, and then it would have been quite funny if we'd scored after 4 minutes, and then they all missed it.
Well, good thing for Musa is they didn't even see it.
They just heard about it and jeered him as a result. They'd seen it on Twitter and thought, "No, this guy's getting."
No, I'm sure they're watching outside, on their phones or whatever. Like they're not missing the game. But
how do you feel about the jeering of Musa? Do you think it's fair? It's the court of public opinion, or do you think, oh my God, this is a 22-year-old kid who's been played in every single position? He missed a chance, and it's harsh. There's others who deserve it more.
I mean, when you frame it that way, I didn't know he was 22. To be honest, in my head, everyone's like minimum 25. It's a byproduct of my own aging, but look, when you're a public figure, especially an athlete, it's a part of the game. It's part of the course. It sucks. Don't get me wrong. You never want your own fans booing you, but the only way to prevent that, to make sure it never happens, is to constantly perform. And not even constantly, just like majority, every 6 of 10 games have a good performance, that's 6 out of 10 games is what I mean, like just the majority of your games be good or average. Like, don't give us a reason to boo you, because that's why he's getting booed. He's not getting booed because they're just like, this is his first ever mistake. F that guy. That's not what's happening, right? Like,
no.
Yes, there are circumstances out of his control, like being played in a ton of different positions he shouldn't be playing, coming off as a late sub in positions that are weird, coming back from behind in games, like coming on and we're already down a goal or something, like multiple coaches in his tenure. I believe he's had 3 now, but so has Pulisic, who's performed, and obviously, you can't compare that. But like there are reasons why booed players get booed, and ultimately it could all be avoided if you put in a good performance. I know, easier said than done, but like you're an athlete, you're there to entertain and play a game to a standard that the majority of the world can't reach. Even a bad performance, the majority of the world can't reach. Let's be real. But like, I don't know. When you make the money you do and all this stuff, like it's one of those things. If it was just a normal dude from playing Sunday League pickup and you start booing him because he had a bad performance, that's a little messed up. There's no stakes here, but there are stakes in this.
Sunday League can get pretty competitive.
Yeah, it can, and it's ridiculous. It shouldn't be, because it doesn't matter. But like this does matter to people. So whether it's right or wrong, it does, and that's bottom line. So unless they're saying like racist stuff or attacks on his family, like then there's a line, right? And we don't cross that. But just getting booed for having a bad game, like, okay.
Yeah. I almost don't think that the fans were booing him directly. Like, I feel like I don't know how to explain it, but they were booing sort of what he represented. As the situation, as you missed our big chance, we're in the shit again because we can't take these chances, and we're losing another home game, and and maybe even they were jeering the fact that the change wasn't made earlier. They were jeering, Conceicao's just general. It can be all manner of different things. I mean, I'll never forget Huddersfield once had a player on loan called Radislav Majewski, and he played attacking midfielder. And we were losing a game, and he got brought off in the second half, and everybody booed. And Majewski sat on the bench and cried, and someone had to explain to him that they weren't booing him; they were booing the fact that he was brought off. And I think, I'm not saying it was the same as this, but sometimes substitutions, it's hard to channel exactly what you're angry at. You just have to show that you're angry. Anyway, that offside goal that got given was kind of the bit of reprieve that we needed, because we then equalised through Pulisic, who got his 50th goal contribution since joining us, 30G, 20A in 88 games, which is pretty damn good.
That is really
and
good.
It was a lovely finish. Reijnders, I mean, I've seen some people saying this is an argument why to play Reijnders deeper, because when Felix came on, Reijnders shifted back into the double pivot. But for me, like, you look at where this assist came from, right off the corner of the box, these are the spaces that he needs to take up. Reijnders' perfect position is that roaming number 10, in my opinion. And he plays a lovely through ball. And I don't even think he attempts it to be a pre-assist. I think he presumes that Pulisic will then cut this back in some way, but he doesn't. He says after the game, Pulisic, that he didn't even know where the net was. It was just pure instinct for him to swing his left foot at it, and he hits it low and hard, and it goes in the far corner. I think if that goes in against Maignan, we're having a chat about it, narrow angle in it. But it was a rocket of a shot, and it just goes to show the confidence that he's feeling, because most players will not take that on. So
definitely. They would have looked for, the cross, who's at the far post or something, which is the difference between this shot and the Musa shot. Obviously, one of them is a forward who is meant to be scoring goals, and the other's not. So there's that. When you say, like, I didn't know where the goal was, it was instinct. That's a forward's instinct that a midfielder's not going to have, and that's okay.
Yeah.
When you watch the play back, this really is all Reijnders. Again, I'm watching it. He's driving the ball from halfway. He gives it to Leao on the byline, who's just slightly onside. He's right there, and it's actually a little bit behind Leao, so he has to stop running, cut back to get back to the ball. He's then under pressure, pushes it into Teo on the edge of the box, who immediately taps it right back to Reijnders. And then as soon as Reijnders gets the ball, you see Pulisic is actually stopped in the box, but as soon as Reijnders gets the ball, he turns, looks, you see Pulisic point forward, and he just immediately puts it up. Pulisic's there, beats both the defenders who didn't know he was even going to make a run yet, and then he gets it. And if you see, Jimenez is actually in a really good spot to tap this ball in if it does get saved. He's under a little bit of pressure, but where he's positioned, like if there's a deflective hand, he's getting the tap in on that. So
yeah,
just the instinct of it and the positioning of everyone is obviously world class. It's what you need. And Reijnders isn't even actually looking at Pulisic when he makes the pass. So there's that too.
It's a lovely pass as well, and you watch it. I'd love to see it from his angle, because I think it's one of those that you just don't see. You've got to hope for the best in terms of the weighting of it, and defenders not sticking out a leg and all that. But really nice goal, and it's just, again, it's Reijnders and Pulisic when we're in the shit and we need a moment from nothing. They provide it. And it looks...
Reijnders almost... Well, he does score, obviously, but immediately after that, he almost scores. He hits the crossbar. Pulisic has a cut-in cross to Reijnders, like right at the edge of the box.
The whip on that was so nice.
Beautiful. And it just skims
again,
it like milk.
Confidence, to take that on. I don't know where we rank among teams in Serie A for shots outside the box, but it feels like we must be pretty low. It feels like we always try to score the way that Arsenal used to score. Like, we've got to pass our way into the box, and the finishing touch can be hard to come by against those teams that pack out the box. Whereas sometimes we've just stepped up and hit them from distance, and especially from Reijnders, they've gone in. I think we need to try it more. Got to fall to the right player.
High up on goals conceded from outside the box. I feel like that's all we do.
Yeah. Good point. And 15 minutes left. We took the lead. This was a lovely, lovely goal. I don't think I've seen João Felix's name mentioned too much for his part in this. And I think, if we're going to slag him off and say good riddance, like getting back to Chelsea, and he hasn't been good. He hasn't. And we are paying some of his wages, and we have paid a loan fee. So there's definitely a right to criticise, even if he's not going to be here for next season and beyond. But I actually think he did quite good off the bench in this game. And, this is where you want... It's not like how you would think up a typical Milan goal in terms of where all the players should be.
Yeah.
Felix playing a bit deeper. Tammy's dropped in too. Reijnders is the one making the run in behind. If anything, you'd be hoping Reijnders could find Felix for the strikers running behind. But sometimes we do things in a different order, and it has worked in this particular case. You remember Tammy Abraham's assist for the winner in the first game in Como, back to goal, and he slotted it through for Rafa Leao. Basically exactly the same thing. And used it again well here.
Yeah.
I think it's time for a bit of an uncomfortable dialogue about the strikers, and whether Tammy is actually more useful from minute one at the moment. We're not going to do that because he's on loan and we've invested 30 mil plus in Jimenez. And I think this first 6 months for him is a bit of an apprenticeship. You know, he's going to learn the ropes in Serie A, and we don't expect him to score 15 goals between now and June. However, I just think we keep seeing things from Tammy that's like how useful he can be in terms of dragging defenders out of shape, his hold-up play, his final pass is good. He's on 8.
That's why I wanted to mention the positioning of Jimenez on the Pulisic goal, because I had a feeling this conversation was coming. While he didn't get anything on the score sheet, he was involved in the first goal in the link-up, or I'm sorry, in the Musa miss, I should say. In that link-up play that should have been a goal. And then, again, he was a yard away from the tap-in if that ball was across from Musa instead. He would have had the deflected tap in. His positioning is still top level. Yeah, he's slightly offside sometimes, but if that rule change that they're talking about for FIFA this summer takes effect for leagues, he's onside on all these offside goals that he scored.
It's over.
It's over for us too, because we're conceding a lot. The high line is not a good call anymore.
I'm fully in agreement. I was just playing devil's advocate by sort of saying Tammy.
But I do want to talk about Tammy as well, because I think he's fantastic. I mean, I bought a jersey of a loan player for the first time ever, a dry loan, because I was so confident in him. I'm a big Tammy fan, have been since he burst on at Chelsea from Cobham, and I just thought he was fantastic. But this goal, will we get demonetized if I screen share?
As long as it's not like more than a few seconds, I think. Right. Maybe you can do like a pause and unpause type thing.
Yeah, we'll try it.
Give it a
go. You know?
yeah. Share us to your friends, please.
Screen share. Let me pull this bad boy up. I wasn't prepared to do this. So, all right. So you see Joao right there, triple covered. You know, he makes a run from like right here prior to them showing it, but triple covered there. You see Tammy, you see Reijnders, you see Pulisic. So Reijnders obviously very far forward. Tammy is kind of double covered as well, but Reijnders is going to draw this guy a little bit there. So that's good. This is a hard pass. You see, this dude's already running. This guy's stepping in. He's making this pass under pressure. And here it is. He right through him. Tammy, look at this. Just turn.
Absolutely
boom. I mean, really, whoever 23 is needs to be faster, right? Like that's not good from 23. But going back here a little bit. So we'll see the turn from Tammy. Just incredible. First time. That is instinctual. That's not looking or anything. And then this near post shot. That's the hardest shot. It actually goes through his legs, I think, there. And then hits the near post. It shouldn't be going down like that, right? Like you should not be, as a goalkeeper, conceding those. But then again, Mike Mignon, that's all he concedes. That's a really hard shot to make for Reijnders, even though it's one-on-one. The goalkeeper's out. He's a lot closer to him than people might realize. We go back there. I mean, let's see.
Of course, on the internet, he scored a similar one. He scored a similar one this season. I can't remember who it was against. I want to say it was Bruges when he scored the brace. But yeah, he gets put through on goal on that right side of the box, takes it on right-footed, and he goes near post, which is not. I feel like most strikers would go back across goal in that situation, or they'd even try to round the keeper. I mean, we've seen what Musa did. But yeah, he gets it in near post and it goes in, just takes a slight nick off the post, so he couldn't have got that shot couldn't have got any more margin on that shot. I just looked, and number 23 was Peroni, number 23 was Maximo Peroni, who came on in the 63rd minute. Interesting subbing on a centre-back. Or whatever. But he ended up in that situation, and sometimes maybe you're not used to the rhythm of the game. Midfielder, he's a midfielder, so what was he doing back there? I don't know. I think this is what we do. Like when we need a goal, be it because we're in a losing position or in this situation where we're looking for a winning goal, we just go 4 up front. We pin the defence with 4 players, and we hope to create carnage in that way. This wasn't carnage in the sense that we've seen it sometimes, with crosses and hoping for knockdowns inside the box. This was actually a nice bit of play. As you say, Felix off-balance pass through the only lane that it could go through. Tammy, he's got his back to go, and he somehow finds a pass over his shoulder. Perfectly weighted as well. I think it was a brilliant assist, and we're seeing that aspect of his game with these contributions off the bench, and that's what he's sort of restricted to at the moment. Tammy, he should have been starting over Morata, I think, for patches of the first half of the season, and then Morata's going, and he's like, oh, here my chance might be here now, and no, we go and sign another guy. So he's had to be patient, but he's showing things, and he's the only Milan striker that we've used this season who has more goals than yellow cards. So do with that stat what you will.
Even Santiago has more?
Yeah, 3 and 3.
Ah, okay.
But
is that all comps?
All comps.
Wow.
Yeah. And Reijnders misses that late chance, by the way, to bury what would have been an absolutely delightful third goal. Abraham again, that little ball comes in and he just side foots it on the volley, almost back across goal to Reijnders, and does everything. He just can't quite find the far corner. That would have been a really, really nice goal. And then let's do Delegate, eh? Dele Alli. What happened, mate? What are you doing? Come back on. You've been out so long, and you decide that you're going to rake your studs down the back of Ruben Loftus-Cheek's calf.
Yeah.
Or else you've been out for a long time as well.
Yeah, that's actually really funny. They both return. Obviously, Dele was out much longer, but they both returned, and that's how it goes down. Then Dele shares a WhatsApp exchange where, he says, like, I didn't even see it. Like, I'm sorry. And I think Loftus-Cheek kind of tries to brush it off like it's no big deal because they're buddies. And he's like, I only stayed down because I was tired, sort of deal. And he's like, I didn't even know it was you. And of course, Kyle Walker tries to tell the ref, don't do it. Don't give him the red card, which, like, I get it. If that's your buddy, he's been out for 2 years. Give him a little grace. But also, the rules don't change just because you've been out a while. The rules are the rules. And to me, that it was a clear red card. I've seen it given 1,000 times over. I told a buddy of mine, I'm going to call him out right now. He's a big Spurs fan. And so I naturally was like, hey, Dele made his debut and within 8 minutes got a red card. And he's like, never a red. It's always a red. It was Yeah, I just didn't even text him back. I was like, yeah, that's all right. Like, sorry, bud.
Yeah. I don't think if you watch there's a really, really bad screenshot of it where studs on back of calf, but it wasn't like a stamp. It was, he's gone to swipe his legs and it's happened in such a way that, his leg is planted at the time when he makes the contact. It's still a red card because with any more force, he goes through the back of his leg there.
Exactly.
Really bad. But
there was no malicious intent, but it certainly was a malicious challenge. Like,
exactly.
You can't do that.
An opponent. The Walker thing seems to have really divided opinion. There's a lot of, it's like the compassion versus professionalism thing, right? They've played together for a long time at Spurs and with the England national team. They're friends off the pitch. There's photos of them going to like Halloween parties together and stuff as matching fancy dress and all that. Like, they're clearly very close. And for those who aren't aware of Dele Alli's story, he was a really, really big talent in English football. With Spurs, and he's had a lot of battles. He's had personal demons, born into a shit life, and was making the most of it. And then, struggled with mental health and things like that. And he's been away from football for 2 years, but he's worked his way back to this moment. And unfortunately, this moment was, everyone laughing at him for a red card. So I think that's what went through Kyle Walker's head at that point. Was and also, it's probably a bit performative in the sense that he knows the ref isn't going to be like, oh, you're right, Kyle, I'm going to overturn my overturned decision. However, I do believe it was a reaction of genuine emotion. I was speaking with Isaac about this because Isaac took the Kyle Walker's an idiot line with it. And I'm like, I think he's being genuine. It's his mate and stuff. And he knows he probably can't change it, but he's just genuinely gutted. I think that killed their chance a bit.
You go back to what I was saying about Musa getting booed and how it's part of the game, public figure and all this. And now I'm going to argue the exact opposite point with this and say, look at the human element. These are still people, there is a rough story for Dele Alli. It's not just he had a couple bad games and now people are irritated by him. It's every off-field battle that you could go through, he went through during those 2 years. He was training with Everton, which you could argue was worse for his career. And then he gets signed by Como, comes back, and it is supposed to be a feel-good story. I don't think he came on with Fabregas thinking, all right, game changer Dele. Like, I don't think that was the intent. I think it was like, okay, he's ready. He's earned this moment. Yeah, we're losing to Milan, but it is what it is. Get him on there, get some minutes in his legs, and we go again after the break. Now he doesn't get to go after the break. And of course, it's the break. So he has this additional 3 more weeks that he's going to be out because of the red card now and the break and all that. So yes, in the long term, he's like, what's 3 more weeks compared to what he just went through? But yeah, from the human element, like you said, it's good buddies. Kyle Walker, the game was already kind of won at this point. It was stoppage time. It was the 91st minute. So it's not like we were like, we really need this man off so that we could put this game away. Like the game was won, so I get why he did it. There's a lot of English players in our team that know him on a personal level, that are friends with him. And so I don't think he was the only one who was thinking like, this kind of sucks for Dele. He was just the only one to say something. And yeah, it probably was performative to an extent. But I think a lot of it is just like, this is my friend. This really sucks. Like cut him some slack. He just came on. It's his first challenge in 3 years. Like put that into perspective. But again, rules don't care about perspective and context. They care about what did you do. And
that is correct in the way that we want football to be policed ultimately. Yes. I must admit, I was like, that's a shame. I laughed when I saw the replays, because I was like, how have you got it that badly wrong? But yeah, then it just sort of settles in that, is this just a red card, or could this be something like that? The international break to stew over it and not allowed to play the next game. Just hope that he acknowledges that it was just unfortunate timing more than anything and comes back stronger. But I think Kyle Walker's reaction went like the opposite way, like straight away, fuck. That's not good.
And I don't think there's any room for our fans to get mad, because it's not like it was ever going to get overturned. Like, no. But what do we care? We won regardless. Whether Dele's on the pitch or not for the extra 90 seconds that were left in this match, who cares? Like it doesn't matter.
Final thing on the game. I'm trying to display something. And I think I've displayed the wrong thing, so let me do that again.
Jimenez talking.
That was Santiago Jimenez's interview picture. There we go. What do you think of this from after the game? It's loading up right now. Think of that.
Yeah.
So that was posted on Alessandro Florenzi's Instagram. For those who are listening, not watching, it is the dressing room celebration photo. You've got Leao already in his tracksuit with a Gucci bag, I want to say, but everyone's, fists in the air, everyone's looking happy, smiling. Even Moncada makes it in on the right side, Conceicao on the left with a big smile on his face. What are your thoughts?
It's not the first time a team's been happy to win a game, regardless of the caliber. Would I post it? Probably not, because as fans, we know the obvious reaction of, what are you celebrating? You're in 9th place. It's just Como. But I'm not going to tell people they can't be happy about winning a game. If we're going to be mad that we're losing a game, we should be happy that we're winning a game, right? We should celebrate the goals that we score. We should slap our knee on a goal we miss. Like these are normal emotions. If the fans have every right to be upset at bad performances, then the players have every right to be happy when they win, whether it's come from behind or not. I have no problem with it. The issue is kind of shaky when you think, why are you posting this? The optics are there, but I guess I'm looking at both sides, and that's why I'm like, it's overall, I don't care. It doesn't affect my day. I'm going to support the team, whether they're dog shit or not. So happy to see that they're happy and seeming as one, as a unit. But you also know that fans are fickle. Fans are not rational, and they're going to see this and think, why are we celebrating a come-from-behind win against Como? Again, this is the second come-from-behind win against Como, a team who is hovering above relegation, I believe. I don't think they're doing too hot. So,
yeah, they're going to stay up. They're going to stay up quite comfortably. But
okay. Are they like 13th then? I can't remember.
They are. I've got the table up here. They are 13th exactly. Yes, they're 7 points clear of the bottom 3. But
okay, so they might not stay up then.
They were hovering just above it when we played them in January, and then they've had some good results to kind of pull clear. So they're going to be fine. I don't think they need that many points between now and the end. Probably stay up with another 7 or 8 points, to be honest. I'm somewhere in and around your reaction to it. My gut feeling, and I can't help it because I'm a fan of the club. And when you see images like this, it means that the club's done well, the team's done well, they've won a game. And I see all those smiles, and after all the negative press that they've been subjected to, my gut feeling, I can't help it, is that I'm happy. I like to see a photo like that. But then when you dive a little deeper, it's like, hang on, what the fuck are you celebrating? Like, if we'd have beaten Bologna and Lazio or whatever, you can do it then. They're big points, big points. But Jesus, 2-0 down to Lecce. And
how much of it do you think is directive by the club? You're seeing players come out and apologize for dropped points, something we don't typically see unless they're solely at fault. But you're seeing like all the big name players like, oh, we didn't get this one, we'll get it next time, thanks for all the support. We're seeing this more and more often as the fan reaction's getting worse and worse. And as the rumors come out about Conceicao leaving, about Furlani leaving, about Moncada leaving, about Ibra leaving, about Cardinale protests, like everyone in the media is attacking these players, the staff, and you're seeing a lot more media trained responses. And now you're seeing this happy unity team photo. You even see Conceicao with a smile. I don't know the guy personally, but it doesn't seem like his nature to do that. It almost seems like a fake smile. I'm sure he is happy, AI? But it's like
it's an AI photo.
Nah, I mean it's definitely real, but it's interesting just seeing the dynamic shift, and I wonder how much of it is manufactured, how much of it is Moncada's in there. So he's saying, okay, guys, let's take a team photo. Let's put the image that we're really happy. He's not going to say it like, let's pretend like we care about each other or something, but it's almost like when you're growing up and your family wants to have family photos and everyone's fighting because you got these stupid matching outfits or whatever. And then mom's like, okay, everyone pretend like you like each other. And then you take your photo and then you go back to arguing after. It could be almost like that.
Yeah, it could well be. I don't know. It seems strange to me.
Or maybe it was Conceicao's idea and he's just trying to change his approach from angry guy yelling, screaming to, okay, I'll just be everyone's best friend. That seems to be the only way to get the best out of these kids.
It's possible. We've spoken a lot, haven't we, about his approach and how it might actually be counterproductive given what they went through in the first 6 months of the season. But they really are hammering home the unity thing. Conceicao has been saying it in his pressers, like, I see a really united group that's willing to fight for each other and blah, blah, blah. Just because the wins aren't coming the way that we want, being 3-0 up in these games and stuff, doesn't necessarily mean that they're not taking things from it. But yeah, I'm not surprised that people have had a bit of a pop at that. I think it's fair criticism as well, just as it's important to see the other side. Again, the human aspect to it. These players under a lot of pressure with a lot of external noise. And if this then inspires a run where we go and beat all the teams around us after Napoli, then I'll be happy. Tops and flops then, and we'll put this to bed.
I mean, Reijnders in it. I think it's got to be him. Goal and assist.
Yeah. I'll go Pulisic then, just to give him a shout. No, I'll go Tammy Abraham actually, because what an assist first of all, and again all the circumstances mentioned. He's basically had to make do with being the second or at times third wheel this season, and yet seems to have a knack for coming on and making things happen. I think we improved against Lecce after he came on. He's just a more traditional lone striker than
it's a different profile, which is what you want. You want different options on the bench, because if it's just like for like, if it's not working, it's not going to work again. So you come up with something a little different. I hope it makes it permanent, to be honest with you, but
yeah, we'll see. I think there's going to be more chat about that. It's just interesting that the deal with Salamanca's was a dry loan exchange, and they're not technically connected, even though it was a swap of sorts. They're going to hold that over us just as we hold Salamanca's over them. Like, actually, we want 30 mil for Salamanca's now because he's played really well with you. Okay, we want 30 mil for Tammy. Like, I can see it going that way, and we probably just end up keeping Salamanca's and selling Chukwueze or something like that, which I'm not against in theory. Yeah,
if we get Salamanca's and Tammy, I think we come out on top of that, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Salamanca's developed very well, better than Chukwueze. Doesn't have AFCON in the middle of the season. I think it's a no-brainer to bring Salamanca's back.
Yeah, I almost wonder if it would be better just having him around rather than, like, you can maybe find another backup striker that can give a similar output to even like a Kustovic, who's on 9 goals this season now, which is more than Tammy, or like Jonathan David's a free. So you can get him on a free and then keep Salamakers, who's probably the 25, 30 mil guy. Flop for me, unfortunately, it's Musa. I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I think you can make a case for Leao. He had some moments where he got in isolation against his fullback in the first half, and he almost always picked the wrong thing to do again. There's one where like he ended up doing nothing and just kind of running in a straight line. He always makes it really obvious when he's going to cut inside. He did have one where he knocked it beyond his man, but then the end product's just not there. He isn't playing with the same explosivity. I don't know how to describe it, but like
He wasn't involved in the build-up for the first goal, albeit with just one touch, but still.
Yeah, I suppose. But yeah, just in games like this, it's like you imagine if all 3 of them were firing, all 4 if you want to include Jimenez. You wouldn't know where to turn or what to stop. But ultimately, I think the reason that we've got these players is because they're not all going to perform every single game. They won't be with us, unfortunately. Right, let's do some questions. Obviously, international break. There's not an awful lot of Turkey talking points. Furlani's taking his time to pick the new sporting director, and there's some questions that are along that line. But just international football, and it kind of sucks the life out of club football a bit. It's a nice break, though. I'm not going to lie. Tempus Fugit asks, and these are all from the Discord. So go sign up for the Substack if you want to be in the Discord. How frustrating is it to know that Manchester United are getting a new 100,000-seater stadium before we get ours, considering we started the process some time ago?
I'll be honest, I didn't know they were.
Yeah. Oh, have you not seen it?
No, I didn't know they were getting one.
This is another good opportunity for me to use the share screen function or whatever it is. So last week, obviously they've got a new ownership. Jim Ratcliffe's there now, taken over from the Glazers, who basically just wanted to keep Old Trafford up to like a passing grade rather than necessarily being a world-class facility. They have done work on it over the last 20, 30 years, but ultimately it's becoming a bit run down. It's showing its age. So Ratcliffe comes in and announces a new £2 billion, 100,000-seater stadium. And I'm going to display an image for you now. So the first one is the outside. Someone said this wouldn't be out of place in Beijing, and I agree. Kind of mad.
Yeah, it's... I think it looks like one of the World Cup ones we saw from Qatar. Yeah. I don't want to. Well, I don't care if I offend United fans. It looks like 3 circus tops with the stadium in the middle.
Yeah, it's fitting of a circus.
It's like almost a spider web over it. It looks strange. Like you could see a real stadium there. Why the tarps with the suspenders on the point?
So apparently, what's happened? I was reading answering all the questions article about this new stadium. And what's happened is they are they started with the stadium itself, which you can sort of see the outline of in there. And then they decided that they wanted to put like a tent over it, and they wanted to turn Old Trafford into more than just a stadium where you go to the game and go home. And the idea is that
now multi-purpose.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna add another picture here. I'm just kind of saving them, uploading as I go. So this is what's going to be in the bit between the tent and the stadium. The outer bit and the inner bit, if this makes sense. So it's going to be like that.
Cool. Kind of cool. It's not going to be that packed.
I doubt it looks like that when it's actually. But it was. It's
is that a band playing in the center?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's probably Take That or something.
Why would they not be in the stadium?
I think it's
why would you play outside?
Thing. So this is the idea: is that you go there, and then they've put the tent over the top as a result because Manchester rains a lot. So they want to turn it into like an indoor space. It's hard to explain, but I can kind of see what they're going for.
Yeah, so they would have like in that shop thing behind it, I'm assuming that's the pro shop. They would put like maybe TVs and show the game or something there, and then you could come to the stadium and watch the game without getting into the stadium if you can't afford a ticket or something, maybe.
I doubt they'd put the game on there, but they might put like the early and late kickoff on or something like that. They want you to go and spend time that's not just for the game. When I went and did the Spurs tour, they said the same thing. they've set up like bars in there that show the football. So normally you'd go pre-match to the pub, for the build-up. You just go to the stadium.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah. So they started with the stadium. Then they decided they wanted a bit of outdoor space. Then they put the tent over the top. So it's protected from the rain. I guess that's fair enough. It is Manchester. And then Jim Ratcliffe personally intervened and said, I want the 3 spires thing. And apparently the biggest one, which I presume is the one nearest the camera here. Or
with the
is
circular
going to be, I don't know, he said like 100 meters, 150 meters, and it's going to be visible from Liverpool. So that feels very deliberate.
Okay, well, I guess that answers the why, but I think the spires are ugly. I don't like spires. It doesn't.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no functional reason behind that other than, I guess, like you could have a tent over it. I mean, that looks kind of cool.
That's
like every other inside stadium rendering I've seen, but
I think that modern stadiums now are almost a little bit hamstrung by what they need to be. They need to offer 2 ends that are massive. They need to offer sidelines with corporate seating. All need to have a good vantage point. It needs to be a bowl, so you're maximizing space. I think that's why you're seeing so many of these Spurs and Emirates type and Etihad type designs. Unfortunately, there's not much originality. And if you remember, the winning design for the new San Siro thing back in 2019 was the Populous Cathedral one, and they binned that off and decided to go for like more of an ovally shaped one. And I think it is genuinely so they can maximize the amount of seats they get in, and
of course,
from them. It's all driven by the bottom line, isn't it? So yeah, back to the original question. I guess that's what we could have potentially. I'm sort of bored of the stadium thing now.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything for me. I mean, we've been talking about building a new stadium since 2012, 2013. So
yeah,
we've signed off on a few different ones. We've bought land. Like at this point, I will not get worked up about a stadium until the moment that first brick is laid.
Yeah, totally agree. I can understand the debate that still rages on about whether we should be building alone versus whether we should be building with Inter. It is essentially like a pride versus financial thing. You can extend that debate to many other areas of the club, to be honest. But it's like we should leave them behind, build our own new stadium. And
I agree with that, but I also don't want to have to throw away all my little San Siro knickknacks if it becomes Inter's lone stadium. So I don't want that. I don't want them to stay in San Siro,
Yeah, and you would have to do that, definitely. Yeah. And then the other side of it is, and I think people sometimes don't realize this, that if we build a shared stadium with Inter, we're getting 100% of the revenue still that we would do anyway, because we wouldn't have to pay anything to the council for rent and stuff like that. But it'll be 50% of the cost.
Exactly.
And I wonder how important that might be for this ownership group.
Both ownership groups.
Both, yeah.
Funds, it's a thing, and it's an option that it's not like it's the first time they're hearing about it, but going from U.S. sports where that would just be blasphemy. It doesn't make any sense. They go, wait, we could cut this in half? Like, yeah, absolutely.
It's the MetLife model, isn't it, with the Jets and Giants, and I think that will tempt them. I think it will really tempt them. And look, we've seen it. They've submitted the. I'm not going to go too deep into the technicalities because Isaac's doing a bonus article, and you can read other articles about it on the site. Yeah, no, I don't want to step on those toes because he does a really good job keeping up to date with the stadium stuff. But they've submitted the proposal to buy San Siro and the surrounding areas. It's a bit less than the independent regulator or valuator, whatever, came in and said, but that was obviously always going to happen, and it will be evaluated. There's already a bit of opposition from the Green parties and stuff like that, but it's going to be slow proceeding. That's why I'm kind of happy we kept the Sandanato thing alive, because the moment we hit these roadblocks, we'll just be like, okay, off we go then. And, it's just pressure. It's back and ball. Let's move on. Next question. Shizo, how much would you sell Yunus Musa for? And how would you advertise Musa to another team? I wonder if this is based around the Daniel Ilongo thing about how we still believe in Musa because Moncada thinks he's got a Premier League engine and that we think he's worth over 30 mil now.
That's the advertisement right there. That's how they're doing it.
Yeah, there you go.
I think Musa is going to attract interest for the sole fact that he plays for the U.S. national team. That has marketing in it. Obviously, I'm here in the U.S. and a lot of people don't really know who Musa is. Pulisic is the main guy, right? Everyone knows who that is. There's a few other names that kind of pop up here and there that like casual people in America will know, like Tyler Adams. But as far as Musa goes, I think you just go, oh, an American, we could get the American market. Everyone is seeing that there's a lot of growth in the sport here, and they're wanting to kind of tap into that, especially with all these American investors coming in overseas now. So I think that's how you market him, is you show, I don't know, the uptick of American interest on our team and just glaze over the fact that it's 90% Pulisic, and they go, look, this is what American brings you. If you're interested, we'll give him to you for 35 million, and then they do it. But he can still come good. Like I say, he's 22, and you do see there is a lot there. There's just a lot of raw stuff. So if he could fine tune those things, I wouldn't want to sell him. Currently, right now, I don't care if he goes. But if he becomes a player that I think he's capable of becoming, then he would be a mainstay for us.
Yeah, I think we invested in the unknown a little bit with him. He was the final midfielder to arrive after that rebuild following Tonali's sale, but he was the one that we were first linked with almost. We sort of went in and then went back late in the window after we got Reijnders and RLC. In the midfield for next season, I actually did a feature on this last night. It's on the site, obviously under the features thing about Milan's midfield jigsaw. And I won't go too deep into it, but I basically said that he is the mystery piece still of the bunch, in the sense that we don't really know what he can become, because at the moment he's a brain shy of being a pretty useful footballer. Problem is you need that, especially in a league like Italy, like Serie A. So we bought in for his potential and what he could become, his versatility and his athleticism and attributes that we can all see every single game. Now we need to decide whether we want to cash out on that bet, basically. While he still has a bit of value at the age of 22, and while he's got Champions League minutes in his legs and things like that, because there will be Premier League teams, I think, maybe even Bundesliga teams, that take a look at him and think, we can do something with that. However, if you cash out now, after 2 seasons, you've almost got to be prepared for him to go elsewhere and be a big success, because this is when you start to see him get towards the finished product. And that's why I think it's quite... As I know this ownership and this management at present, I think he's going nowhere. And I think that he will be... I think him, Reijnders, Fofana and Bondo are 4 nailed on for next season. I think we sign... I think we sign a defensive midfielder, like a pure number 6, be it,
And that's what we should have got over Musa in the beginning.
Yes. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
If you, like... I don't know. There's all this talk about... We get a lot of comments on our site. Get rid of Musa and RLC. Go get Tonali. Unfortunately, isn't that simple. It isn't. I'd like to see Tonali come back. I think it might be a couple of years until he's just won a trophy with Newcastle, and he's playing really, really well at the moment. Fortunately, it isn't that simple. If Musa has to stick around and be like the 4th choice, you could argue that's detrimental to his development. If he pushes to leave, that's a different thing. But I just think that they're more likely to stick with most rather than go for a complete overhaul. But that is dependent on the sporting director and the coach that he picks and the way that he wants to play. But yeah, what did he say? What do we think he's worth? Did he say as well? How much would you sell him for?
As much as we can get.
Yeah.
There's not a number where I wouldn't sell him for more than this. I'll sell him for as much as I can get. Now, what's the lowest I would sell him for?
Yeah, I think that's what it's more asking.
Million,
yeah, get our money back.
Yeah, because I don't think he's gotten worse. He just hasn't, and he probably has improved as well. To be honest with you, he just had not the greatest of seasons so far. But who has?
Just as an example of something realistic we can do, and I know people will be fed up about me saying his name, but you can get 20 for Musa and instantly flip that to Genoa and get French up. Our midfield has got better at 0 cost, at net cost. So I'd do something like that. But if you're going to sell him, because we're probably going to get rid of RLC anyway, I think you need to have a replacement in mind. I think we need a number 6, and if Musa goes, you also need a number 8, a ball-carrying, ball-playing number 8. Ryan asks, hypothetically, if we finish 7th, where we were when Conceicao took over, and we won the Coppa Italia, so our second trophy under him. Would you be tempted to give him a full season with further backing, or would you still agitate for a change in coach?
I'm going to catch heat, but I'd give him a full season even if we don't. I think the faith he showed us to come in at the time that he did, knowing that he was set up for failure, as I said on day one, I think he deserves that. Is he going to get it? Probably not. But yeah, I would give it to him if he wants it. That's the other thing too. Probably just leaves on his own, even if he gets that second trophy. Does he really want to put up with this? Maybe he realized he's not there yet. Maybe.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a few things. So I simultaneously hold the view that I don't think Conceicao will or necessarily should be our head coach from the summer onwards. But I also hold the view that he is a good coach in the right environment, and that this just wasn't it in the right circumstances, like at Porto, and that he was dealt a shit hand. So those things you might say kind of balance out, and you should give him the benefit of the doubt. But I just don't think it's going to happen. And also, I think when they sit down at the end of the season, towards the end of this season, they probably have an honest discussion that starts with, "It's just not working, is it?" And they both agree. I think he's exhausted already. I don't think he was expecting it to be quite this intense. He keeps going at the media and saying, "You're making up lies about me, blah, blah, blah." I think the difference is in Portugal, he was more protected by the press, and Porto, he could do no wrong in the eyes of Porto fans and in the eyes of the press that favour Porto. So it's different here because he's not a Milanista. He's sort of come from the outside, and he's having to try and fix all this on the fly while navigating a difficult relationship with players and the media while results remain turbulent. It's hard. Good luck to anyone.
I think he has managed for Milan less games than Fonseca still at this point.
Fonseca did 24, didn't he? So I think yeah, he will have done.
Is that it? Is that all Fonseca did was 24 games? All comps. Wow.
Yeah, you can verify that on Transfermarkt. But I'm fairly sure he did 24 games. So yeah, I mean, I was having a discussion actually with somebody about this just before we hopped on recording about the coach for next season, and actually how it's more important that we get the right sporting director because they decide everything. And I agree with that, but I just wonder in an alternate reality what the perception would be at the moment if the appointments had gone the other way around. So say we hired Conceicao last summer. He came in and he tried to transform the culture, but it didn't work. The results weren't there. Clashes with star players, blah, blah, blah. And then we brought in Fonseca at the end of the year, And my feeling is that it would be a bit more positive than it is now, because we'll have gone from the current style of football that we're seeing to, let's be honest, it's a better style to watch under Fonseca. It was more possession based, and I think that we had some performances under Fonseca that we haven't come close to matching yet under Conceicao. The Real Madrid away, the derby when we dominated. So I think that everyone would be a bit more positive if it had gone the other way around, but it hasn't, and we're in this situation, and we've got some we've got some huge decisions to make this summer. And I just think that the fact that we are going to hire a sporting director probably means it's the end for Conceicao no matter what, because he'll want his guy to come in.
So I checked. Fonseca, 24 games with a 1.75 points per match rating with Milan. And that was in, 6 months. And then Fonseca in 2.5, it's 19 games. So only 5 less in half the time. So, I mean, that kind of tells you a lot. And the points per match is 1.74. So 0.01 less. And you look at those matches, you got Inter twice, Juventus twice. You got some big games in there. You got Roma in there. You got Champions League. So, I mean, obviously Fonseca had, a derby as well. He had Real Madrid. He had a Juventus loss. So that, there is a lot to compare there, but yeah, I think you can't come in on the first of the year, have 19 games in 2.5 months.
It's harsh, that.
Yeah.
It's
especially
tough.
coming
As I
in
say, good luck to anyone.
during a transfer window, injury crisis, gameplay crisis. You're coming halfway through the season, which means the coach before you created a mess. Like, it's why I said he's set up for failure from the start. And so, yes, I would give him not even another. I'd just give him a full year if he wants it. As long as we don't finish, 10th or something.
12th.
Look, if you look at the table, there is a not so crazy world where we do finish in the top 4. We're 6 points out.
6 points off now.
We're 6 points out. Now, granted, that means we need 5 teams above us to drop 6 points while we gain them and then not lose those back. But they all play each other, and then we play most of them as well.
Yeah. Our record
stabilizes. It could happen.
The only team that we've beaten that's above us at the moment is Inter, which is kind of mad.
Hilarious.
Yeah. And that feels a long time ago now. That was the second direct clash, if you want, that we had. Gazzetta did a comparison between Fonseca and Conceicao. The numbers were quite interesting because I think we'd agree that Fonseca and Conceicao have very different ideas about how to play and win games of football. Fonseca possession-based domination is how he described it. Conceicao is much more contain and counter, direct aggressive. Under Conceicao, we're at 1.67 XG per game, so that's the quality of chances created. Under Fonseca, it was 1.64, so a 0.03 difference. Do we play more on the counter? Well, we're on 0.25 XG from counter-attacks per game under Conceicao. It was 0.24 under Fonseca. XG from set pieces, 0.43 now against 0.42 before. XG from open play, 1.24 against 1.22.
Wow.
Really, really similar points per game average. So maybe it's not the coach.
Well, you know what that tells me? Because the system under Pioli system was a lot more reminiscent of what is going on with Conceicao, I believe, where it's more counter-based, which means we had that style before, and then you do a total 180 and go to a possession-based, sit back, wait for your opportunity, build up, which is just not these players' strong suit or not what they've been used to. Then they were doing that, training that for 6 full months. And then, let's switch back. After they finally started getting it together, like it wasn't going well.
Yeah.
But so now they're doing a 180 again. And in theory, it should take them a lot less time to go back to that style, which is probably why we won the Super Cup. We switched to that and it was just free flowing. Let's play like we did under Pioli. And I think you're seeing more of that now where he's saying, like, just play how you know to play your game. And we are getting results now. It's obviously not against the best teams, and we're still coming from behind to do it. But I don't know. I have a hunch that we're going to go on a run. It might not be a world domination type of run, but we're going to see some better results coming here. And maybe with a full year of 1 game a week, maybe we see some really good results under this football that'll look like the winning days of Pioli, which is what we wanted to change anyways, was when we got rid of Pioli. We didn't want the same style. So I don't know. Anything could happen. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. Funny thing is, though, that if we go on a bit of a run, we could end up in like a Conference League spot and then goodbye to your 1 game per week. I'd just play the Futuro in those games, to be honest, and be done with it. Oh, hi, Matt asks, are we aware of any buyback clauses for academy players that we ended up selling because they don't have a pathway to the first team? Real Madrid have them with Carvajal. Of course, got one with Nico Pass and had one with Brahim Diaz. Man City have got one for Frimpong. He's talking about players like Brescianini, Daniel Maldini, Simic.
I don't think
I'm not aware of us having any buyback clause apart from maybe Lorenzo Colombo.
Yes. No. Yeah.
I'm gonna say he's got one, but I don't know. I'll go quickly.
I think Zeroli has a buyback, and Monza have an option to buy because he's a loan, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because I know the buyback is popular. That's what we did, I thought.
He's not playing that much, actually, Zeroli, which is a shame.
I thought he played.
Let's have a look here. Loan with option to buy.
Yeah,
Might
he
just
started
be a
there last
straight
year.
option to buy. Might just be an option to
Played a
buy.
full 90 against Inter. He's playing
All
every
right.
game, dude. Yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah, he started each of the last
They are
3
bottom.
games. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't won a game with them, obviously.
No.
Neither
No,
has
I think
many. So.
until we spend like 10 minutes here speculating on which players we may or may not have one on. I do think in certain circumstances we should make more use of it, definitely. We have put buybacks in with some, as mentioned, but I think we could have maybe done it with Simic, who's gone to Anderlecht and seems to be doing okay. It's just what that means for the negotiation, because not all clubs are keen on doing it. And, things like the Brahim Diaz, the options are you either do something like that formula or we don't have that player and we've got to go find somebody else. So it's a difficult one. But I think for young talents, you almost have an obligation to do it, especially with where we're at now with the Futuro and, Primavera doing quite well. Got some players in there that you think might not make it, but you're not 100% sure. So you cash in and you think, okay, capital gains at the very least, but you just put that in there as an insurance in case they were to pop off, like Daniel Maldini's done well and Brescianini's done well. They've both ended up at Atalanta. But it's interesting. It's almost the whole thing about the way that deals are being structured now, and whether we're going to see a return of swap deals and things because of FFP and PSR for Premier League teams and things. Schultz Force 1 says, why the hell can't we secure an effective striker? Is it the formation? Is it coaching? Are we signing the wrong guys? Jimenez and Morata are both quality. Tammy is quality, only seems effective off the bench. How do we fix this?
Give it time. None of them have been here that long. I mean, let me just double check on this before I start spewing more nonsense here. But I think Jimenez has almost the same goals and assists as Morata already. Let me just pull
3 goals, 2 assists he's on, isn't he? So that's 5.
Morata had 7 total. So he's
Right.
two less in far fewer games. So there's that.
Morata hasn't. Jimenez hasn't ghosted in the way that I think people are saying that he has. He's been involved in a lot, and he's been unlucky. An offside goal, the Lecce one, where the offside goal, and one where he hits the post when he takes that shot from the floor, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's a game of margins for a striker, definitely. And I do think, as I think I said last time, I see him being a bit of a confidence player, where he'll go through phases where anything he bangs just goes in. And then others where it looks like he can't buy a goal. That's when you need the goals from other sources, as we've kind of seen in the last couple of games. We are capable of scoring 3 and 2 goals against lesser teams, as we should be. In the case of Jimenez, I think quality service is going to be important, and I think we've seen a switch in the last couple of games trying to whip low crosses into him, which is absolutely the way to go because he makes those near post runs, knowing that he's not going to win headers against these 6'4" defenders all the time. So that's definitely one thing. Having a quality backup is important to both drive competition and also gives you a different way of playing. That's what we've seen with Abraham, and I think coaching is important too, in the sense that. I don't think Jimenez is in the position where you say, okay, this guy's it. Let's build the entire team around him. But you've got to give him the best chance of succeeding at the same time. And I think you can make an argument that Conceicao's style of football in what are we on now, 6 weeks that he's been here, has not always been the most conducive to him being successful. I also think we've had game situations where it's been difficult for him. I'm not. Yeah, I wanted Jimenez all along, and I'm definitely not saying that it's flop stuff. I think these 6 months will be really useful for him, and then next season be it with a new coach, but certainly almost certainly with a different supporting cast. I think we'll see more from him.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't find stats for boy Morata here. There we go. Found it. Okay. So Morata was on 9 GA. Yeah, that's 8. I don't know how to count. 8 and 25. And Jimenez is on 5 in 10. So 3 less in much less than half the games. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah.
15 less games, which okay, so that's good. And now is the barometer, is he just equal to or better than Morata? No, we want more than that. Let's make that clear.
Yeah, what can we aspire
like
for him to be?
well.
I mean, I look at somebody like Retegui, who's obviously on his way to probably being the Capocannoniere winner this season, and I think that he can be that. I really think Jimenez can be that. But you look at the way that Atalanta play. I know they got beaten again by Inter at the weekend, but you look at the way they play in, for example, that game away against Juve. And when they're on it, no one can get near them. And Retegui's going to get like 4 or 5 big chances per game. And we're just not at that yet. And I do wonder if, we spoke in the bonus pod about the idea of getting Allegri because we need to fix the defence first. That might be to the detriment of what happens at the other end.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's something you got to get right. You cannot neglect one end of the pitch just to try fix the other. So that's something. But yeah, I do think.
Good.
I was going to say I do think that we have had a problem identifying strikers, but mainly because we haven't been willing to push the boat out and invest the money. Like Giroud's the one cheap out option that we got right. Really, I mean, Ibra, but. That was slightly different circumstances. And
it was a given that it would work out for at least a season,
I also think that because of the money that they offered Hertha Berlin, we kind of had to. But I also think you can make an argument that we should have just given Piontek another 6 months.
I never thought he dropped off as bad as people assumed, to be honest.
Yeah, he had a little
everyone just randomly turned on Baca, but he was incredible.
He's still the best. We've had since
Ibra's first in.
Since Menez.
Oh God. Just to compare it all for Tammy Abraham, 8 goals, 5 assists, so 13 goal involvements in 36 games. So that's basically a goal every 3 games, goal involvement. Whereas, what's his name? Jimenez, 1 every other game, and then Morata. Not there. So the worst of the 3, which is what we all knew.
Oh, we knew that, yeah. The answer is Luka Jovic. Anyway, let's move forward. Di Maio asks, he's still here. Are there any players that Milan have been linked with in the last few seasons that you feel would have made a difference? He gives some examples. Taremi, Noah Lang, Miranda. I presume he means the Miranda that's now at... Where did he go? Bologna. I think he went to Bologna, the left back. And someone replied in the Discord chat with a few more names as well. Julian Alvarez, Enzo Fernandez, Federico Chiesa, all names that we've been supposedly quite close to signing, but then decided not to. Alvarez and Enzo Fernandez, yeah, definitely.
Well, I'm going to link us one article from elfutbolero.us from 2023. We made an offer for, according to this source, that was rejected by Lionel Messi.
Yeah, I knew that
would have been the one.
Yeah. That had to be. Yeah, and wasn't there a Ronaldo attempt in 2017 as well or something?
Yeah, and I think Ronaldo actually confirmed that we made a move for him, and he said he never won Europa League, but he would win it for us or something like that. And then money-wise, we just couldn't do it, obviously.
I'd love to have been there for that conversation.
Oh, yeah. The amount of suies I would have done that year. Holy cow.
Speaking of 2017, I wonder how different things might have been if instead of Kalinic, we'd have ended up getting Aubameyang,
Or if we just let Andre Silva play a game.
Yeah.
I'm still fired up about that.
He didn't score a Serie A goal until the January or something. He was like a Europa League specialist.
He scored a hat-trick in every Europa League game.
Yeah, and then Kalinic was starting the league games.
Yeah, it was blowing my mind. Goose eggs everywhere.
God, I could go on all day about players that we've been linked with and didn't sign. Sven Botman is always one that I think about because of how we pivoted in such an aggressive way to going for a number 10.
That we got rid of.
He's been riddled with, well, not riddled. He's had some injury problems since he's been at Newcastle, so people will point to that. But yeah, I think Barella is one that it was us v Inter to get him from Cagliari a few years ago. think, obviously he would have been outstanding.
Thuram.
Yeah, God, yeah.
We were a minute away from signing him or whatever.
Yeah, he took the extra $500,000 and so far looks to be right for doing so.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many, and you can never tell what's how far things have actually got. What I'd like to know is how many we got, and then we had everything agreed, and then we decided no, or we switched to somebody else. That would be interesting, but only
Carlos Tevez.
Can know. Oh yeah, Tevez, yeah, the Galliani. Galliani has loads of stories about players that he had in the building, but then didn't sign for whatever reason, usually monetary. But no, that's a good question, and let us know in the comments if you've got some. We'll wrap it up there. We've done an hour and a half. Maddie would be fuming. Maddie would be spitting blood at this point. On his birthday, we've taken up 90 minutes of his time, but hope you enjoyed it. It's longer format. People seem to like it, and yeah, we've gotten international break now, so we'll have no games to recap at all next week, and then Napoli game to preview. But in the meantime, I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. Find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher. AJ, cheers for joining.
Yep. I'll see you guys next week. Ollie, I will actually see you next week. And
yes, you will. Stay tuned for some photos on social. I'm sure there'll be some.
Yeah. Our height difference will be exposed.
we can get you a stool or something. And yeah, have a good week, everybody. Enjoy the international football. I'm sure you will. And just enjoy a bit of time away from Milan. Thank you for watching.